invite you to join us in this Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda this evening is Appeal Number 3220, the applicant Brian and Deanna Galloway, property located at 9 Rodney Road and zoned R4 residential. The applicant seeks relief from 280-30E regarding rear yard setback and 280-32B for 10-foot separation from principal building. Is the applicant here? Can you step forward, please? You have to be sworn in and... Yes. Yes.
Deanna Galloway?
Brian Galloway.
Where's the microphone? The hand helps? Let's see it.
It's on its way. You're
Okay.
going to get it. Okay, sorry about that. Handheld mic. All right, so we are seeking two requests for relief. How shall we do them both together or one before the other? Okay, great. So the rear three-season covered deck space was a legacy with the purchase of the house. We plan to replace that in its exact same footprint, no additional coverage. That current structure encroaches less than 2 feet, 18 inches into the current setback. We're requesting 2 feet of relief. And then for that structure, stairs will need to egress out the side of the structure as opposed to into the backyard. Those stairs would encroach 2 feet into the distance between our accessory garage and this proposed addition. So we're requesting 2 feet of relief on that side as well. Happily answer any questions or provide any additional details, especially as they relate to the stairs.
I saw that there was relief granted back in 2023, and two of the current members of the zoning hearing board, including me, were there. But I honestly don't remember what was, and you included that in your packet, and I was wondering what was the relief that was granted back in April of 2023. How does that relate to, if at all, to what you're doing now?
It does not relate at all. That was a front addition, a mudroom addition on the front of the house, and we were requesting relief from the setback on the front of the house.
Okay.
This relief is being requested from the rear boundary of the house.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So if I understand your presentation so far, there is an existing structure which is non-conforming?
I believe that's correct. It does not. It was with the house, and I don't believe it conforms at present. We estimate it was built sometime in the 1980s or maybe early 90s. And our proposal is to remove that entirely and replace it
Okay.
in kind.
So to aid us in understanding, and also for the people who are watching on TV at home, if you bring out one of your drawings that best shows what you have in mind and put it on the table so everybody can see it?
Absolutely.
Center it up there as best you can. Okay.
So just for reference, this was the relief granted in April, the front mudroom addition that
Yes.
replaced this space in kind. The proposal for the rear addition is this current structure here. As you can see, the 30-foot rear yard boundary, and that structure encroaches about 18 inches on the scale. The stairs would come off of the side here, where I'm pointing, and they come within the 10-feet boundary between this corner of the brick garage and this addition.
And the wooden steps, they'd be removed?
The current wooden steps would be removed, correct?
And what about the brick walk?
The brick walk would also be removed, correct?
And then the steps, point to where the new steps would be again, please.
They would come out on the side here. I have another exhibit. So you would see an example of the steps.
Sir, excuse me, are you expanding the width of the existing, I don't know what to call it, three-season room?
We're not expanding any size or any component of it, neither height nor width.
Okay. So we're, in this drawing that we're looking at, and we really should be labeling exhibits, but it's a document titled 10-foot radius from garage corner in all directions. So you're gonna pull down those wooden steps, pull out the brick walkway, but then where it says raised three-season room, that's existing.
Correct.
Okay, and then do you have anything that shows the proposed, or is it basically the same?
Well, we have the construction drawings of the proposed, which are also in the slide presentation. I'm going to use a larger construction drawing, but those are in the presentation as well.
Which drawing is up? I can't really see what's.
So these are two options. One is that uses block. The foundation is still on footers. The block is more of a cosmetic choice, and so these are two options of the same drawing here. This is the example of looking from the backyard towards the house with the stairs leaving the left side of that addition, heading off to the side towards
Okay,
the
so
driveway.
That's the drawing that is
So it's
building
in-
sections. Okay.
We also have a smaller version of it in the PowerPoint.
So what on some of the plans is called a three-season room that was apparently there when you bought the house?
Correct.
It's your intention to remove that, keep the same dimensions?
Correct.
Okay, and then enclose it into what did you say, it was a dining room?
It would become a dining space, correct, off of a new kitchen.
Do you have a drawing that shows where the new stairs would be?
So my best guess is that this is the best view of it. They would come off here. This landing is proposed to be 3 feet by 4 feet, and the stairs would come off here.
What sheet are you looking at?
So this is in the construction drawings in your packet, but also, if you will, I have.
So if you go down to the lower right-hand corner, the sheet we were just looking
Sorry,
at before.
sheet
is
S2.
Sheet S2.00.
.00.
And which one are you looking at now? The 2.500?
It's still the same sheet, S200. and shows the stairs off to the side here. More
Do you have
important.
anything that shows, I know you had a close-up diagram in one of these packets. So it's
Close-up of,
the-
I'm sorry, of,
That's okay, and we really do need to make some exhibits, but
Yeah.
this one is titled 9 Rodney Road,
Mhm.
and it feels like it's about 12 pages or so. In that document, I think it's page 6. Oh, it's the one that I was looking at before. I think you had it up, the 10-foot radius one.
yes.
Other than that circle, there's nothing that shows us where those steps, or is that what that pink box is on this plan?
That's the pink box there. I do have an addendum, if you would like to see more details on specific measurements.
But yes, yeah, you have to present your evidence that.
Sure.
So,
Well, so would you like more evidence?
well, we're trying to get a handle on, I mean, we understand, I think, that you're going to take an existing structure that's been there, which is non-conforming, you're not going to change it, but we are concerned about the steps, which will be a change, and we're trying to get a clear view of, in the drawings here, what that's going to look like. I marked, this is the one that's headed 9 Rodney Road, I marked that as B1, and then B1, B2, B3, et cetera. And there's a B3 that I marked is, I guess, a shrunken down version of the plans. But it's,
So we've just sort of entered some more information, some more evidence, which is this stair addendum. So I'll put that on the table as well. Is there specific evidence or number to provide for that, exhibit number, rather?
well, I marked it as,
No, he's referring.
oh, this, okay. We can mark this, I guess, as C. First page would be C1, and then C2, 3, 4, et cetera.
So this addendum both speaks to the expected distance that the stairs would come off of the house with the landing. So a distance of 6 feet 8 inches in total.
6 feet into what?
6 feet 8 inches in total, which includes the landing coming out from the current three-season room towards the garage. And the images that are also in this, so this would be the second image, which shows from the corner of the garage to where the garden stake is, which is enhanced.
Okay, what is it? The stake represents what?
The stake represents the end of the steps, the 6 feet 8 inches distance from the current structure, which will be replaced in kind.
I see. So the steps will come down and land where that looks like a red marker?
Correct. That's the farthest most,
Okay. I've marked that as C2.
You said 6 feet. Did you mean 8 feet?
I don't believe so. It's 80 total inches, 6 feet 8 inches in total, which includes the 4 steps plus the landing.
What's the distance between the corner of the garage to that corner of the steps?
That distance is 8 feet 4 inches, I believe.
So about 1 foot 8 inch relief is what you need.
Correct. We're requesting 2 feet.
Okay.
And going back to C2, which is this one,
Mm-hmm.
on the right-hand side, there's a brick something with, surrounded by wood. Is that the bottom of the current steps?
No, that's actually just a place where I put the grill for the time being. Forgive me.
And then the bricks, sort of the whitish bricks, is that the current?
That's the current garage structure, correct, and that's the corner where the tape measure is leaving from.
And I think you have another photograph in here.
Correct.
It's showing the distance between, a photograph between, the distance between your here it is. This would.
Yes. And that was the distance of 8
back in
feet
the-
4.
The packet I've marked B. B4 is an overhead photograph of the house. B5 appears to be the raised addition and the masonry frame, et cetera, superimposed over what appears to be an aerial photograph. And B6 is the 10-foot radius it's shown, but it's,
Correct.
now what is, this is B7. Can you describe that for us?
Sure. That is the distance, currently that corner of the house is a cantilevered closet that's legacy to the house. It's not changing in any way. Comes out of one of the bedrooms. And that represents the 10 feet of distance between the accessory structure, which is the garage, and the dwelling.
Okay. In this photograph B7, we can see the current steps that you're going to remove. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
And then there appears to be a box or something, a gray box.
That's a
next
hose,
to the
yes.
hose. What is that?
Yep, that's a hose.
Okay. There's a window, 4-paned window with some siding below it. Is that where the steps are going to come out?
Correct.
So on the room itself, that as well is about 18 inches of relief that you need.
Correct.
Correct. What consideration was given to losing that 18 inches and staying within the rear yard setback?
If we had to lose those 18 inches, we could. It's a smaller, it makes the room smaller, and it makes some of the plans change in some way.
Is there anything about the property itself, the way the house sits on the property, that would impact your ability to comply?
Not to my knowledge.
John, while you're looking through, maybe we can do some housekeeping. The application package includes copy of your deed and some other things. Maybe we'll mark that collectively as A.
Yes.
You had a large set of construction drawings. We can mark those as D. And then you had a full-size, I think this, we've seen this now a couple of times,
The site plan?
single page.
Yep, the site plan.
Plan.
Site plan, mhm.
Yeah, site plan. So maybe we'll call that as E.
E, okay. So that's Exhibit E. These drawings here, what did you have?
Yeah, construction drawing.
Construction drawings, you just mark those collectively?
Correct.
What did you mark them as? D, okay. Okay, so the construction drawings, Exhibit D, there's sheet S0.00, S1.00, S1.10. 3 drawings altogether in that exhibit, comprises that exhibit. This drawing, which is sheet 1 of 1, that's E. Okay. There's already, the photographs already show a set of wooden steps that are currently there, correct?
Correct.
And are they conforming or non-conforming as they sit there today?
I would think they're not conforming.
You're not
They-
sure?
I'm not sure, but they continue even further into the setback.
Okay. And the steps that you plan to put in, or at least within your plan, but they would be, their non-conformity would be less than what is currently there with the wooden steps, is that correct?
I believe that's probably correct, too. As it is now, all of the current steps are inside of the setback. In the proposal, only about 1 foot and 2/3 or so would be, so again, about 2 feet of the steps would come into noncompliance with the current zoning.
Okay. And it's your belief or testimony that the current set of wooden steps are more non-conforming, let me put it that way.
Correct. Yes.
And these steps are going to be about maybe 4 feet tall, give or take, right?
That's correct.
So 40
I believe
inches.
the height is 40 inches, yes.
So with the distance, it would be going into the 10 feet. That would probably be the minimum distance that would be safe, considering it's 40 inches off the ground.
Yes. Yep. So we have a total run estimated of 44 inches with a 36-inch landing as well.
And when you're in your application, when you say the current structure is 2 feet into the buffer, is that the stairs or the structure of the building?
The current structure of the building is in the setback. So the stairs do not impact the setback, but they impact the separation between buildings, which is the, I'm sorry, I don't have the code, 280-32B.
Do any of the plans that we have in front of us, and this is for the addition or the three-season room, is there anything that delineates that measurement for the encroachment? I mean, we can see it on the drawing, but
Right,
is there
so
anything that delineates that
That,
measurement?
the number that I'm using is derived from the scale of using the scale on the site plan.
So that's my concern with the application. I would like to see a plan that shows the distance between the garage and where the proposed steps are, that measurement. We sort of get to it by piecing things together. My preference is to see it on the plan because I don't know how all of this material translates to then, you know, you coming in with an approval in hand and then, you know, putting that together. So typically, our decisions are based on the plans and testimony in front of us, and while I think you've sort of cobbled it together, I would like to see, I'm hesitant because I'd like to see a piece that shows me those two measurements in one spot.
When you describe the measurement that you'd like to see, can you be just a bit more specific?
Sure, sure. So we're generically talking about roughly, again, that's the problem, 2 feet for the encroachment for the, no, sorry,
Right, yeah,
for the.
buffer between the.
The rear yard setback is the right way to say it. So roughly 2 feet, that's not an exact figure. And then it's the same thing. I think the stairs seems to be pinned down a little bit more to that 1 foot 8 inches, but it doesn't appear anywhere on your plans and in front of us. So that's going to be my concern in voting tonight.
For the rear setback, and so using the.
For both, really.
Right,
but
I understand.
yeah.
For the rear setback, using the scale from the document is not enough?
I'm not an engineer. I wouldn't even know how to begin to figure out what that scale looks like or how to measure it. So, sorry, I need it in crayon.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, it's also due to the fact that you are sort of edging into an area where maybe you would need expert testimony, where what I mean is the people who actually drew these drawings, who actually prepared the drawings, made the calculations. I mean, it's known that you need relief for those stairs, but it's really not addressed directly. And it's difficult and probably not advisable to try and fill in the blanks with the, well, everybody will know what we're talking about. But when you go to get a grading permit, you go to actually put a shovel into the ground, they really need to know exactly what's going to happen. With the balance of the residents or the improvement, as I understand it, I mean, you're simply taking an older structure and keeping the dimensions the same, and you're moving the steps, and the steps are an issue. So what I'm suggesting is that we really need to know that. I think Rich summed it up very well, that we sort of step off into a not so clear area because there's no overhead view that really shows it. You have a circle there, you have some other things going on, but you have to do some calculations that nobody here is really prepared to do at this point, or maybe there's not even enough information upon which to base a decision that's clear enough so that there won't be any question about it later on when it's time to execute this. So that's why ask our council a continuance.
Of course, I mean, that would certainly take care of it, to give them time to come back with the information the board's requesting. There's no problem doing that.
Yeah, I think an engineer who prepared these drawings, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that all we see is I forget the terminology, but it's not a plan view, but a view where you're looking straight on. You can see where they are, but it doesn't really define with any, as closely as other parts of the program are defined. You just have to figure out where those steps are going. They seem to float off almost in midair. That's the way they almost appear to look here. And I really do think that that has to be fixed on these plans so that we can get a better view of what's going on. When you're asking for relief from the zoning code, we only, under the municipality's planning code, we can only give the minimum amount of relief necessary. You can't like throw a few extra things in there just to make things go smoother. So that's one of the issues. It's almost impossible to do that using the current state of the plans, which really doesn't address it. And now I'm looking at Exhibit D, sheet number S2-00. You can see stairs to finished grade, but it looks like the grade comes up to meet the stairs. I mean, and we shouldn't be trying to field engineer this thing sitting here in the zoning hearing board room. So that's why I think it's best if you would ask for a continuance and then come back at the next available meeting.
Yeah, it's your choice.
Do I have a
Yes.
recourse? Do I have recourse?
You could certainly proceed.
Not going to keep it wasting people's time.
Mr. Chairman, the next available meeting would be the July 17th meeting, which is our regular scheduled meeting. I'm not sure if that provides our residents enough time to pull this together, or then the next one after that is the August 5th meeting, which I think we have two now, at least one on the August 5th, possibly a second.
We would need more time. I
Yeah.
don't even know when an engineer would be able to come out and sort all this out.
And if you needed the more time, I mean, we could schedule for September, in fact,
Okay.
if you're fine with, yeah, I mean, I think that probably would be best. And again, if you still needed more time, you could just write, if you wouldn't mind, an email or a letter to the township, emailing it to them, they'll get it to the board requesting additional time, especially if you need it for those drawings.
So I have a couple questions. So because this was separated into two sections, can we still get approval for the 280-30, Section E, the rear yard?
Well, I think that was the same problem, the board doesn't have an engineer telling them on the plans. I know you're saying it's about 18 inches that you're going into the rear yard setback, and I understand how you're doing it with the scale, but with that scale, if you're off even a little bit with like taking a ruler on the plans and then taking it to where you think that room goes out, if you're off by a little bit, and you're asking, let's say, 18 inches today, and then you go to build it, and you're off by a few inches, that's not what the board approved. And that's why you could run into a lot more headaches, as opposed to just, I'm sure you have a timeline associated with this, everyone does with all of their projects. And we're not making light of the fact that, just, continue it to September. We realize that's an impact. But the board can't make a decision, they're telling you they can't, without seeing the definitive measurement of what they're giving, what they're approving, and what, more importantly, the variances from the statute requirements. That's really what's important. It sounds like just a matter of inches and feet. I mean, 2 feet from that 10-foot accessory is a lot. It's 20%. So that's, all these slight measurements are critical. So continuing it, I think, is the best, as the board's recommending. I think once they get that detail, they'll take it under advisement and be able to make a decision.
So we just need to resubmit additional documentation in addition to this, or do we still need to
Or more detail on the plans you have.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
guys can hold on to all of this for now?
Everything you've submitted already is part of the record,
Okay, great.
okay?
Thank you.
Well, I also want to add in, so of course we've addressed this from an engineering and construction perspective, but just going back to what the chairman was alluding to earlier is from really like a legal perspective, when you're requesting a variance, there is what we're bound to the municipality's planning code where there needs to be the illustration of a hardship. So really, why is the zoning code here in Radnor? Why is that preventing you? Why is it impinging on your ability to properly utilize the property? And also why, with what you're requesting, is the minimum relief absolutely necessary? So it's more of why is this necessary versus why is this just nice to have is kind of what we have to distinguish here too. So just keep that in mind too as you're going about this as well. So appreciate it.
Okay, so we have these marked now, these exhibits marked. We can hold off moving them into evidence at this point, or asking them to be moved into evidence?
Well, they can, if we can move them, I mean, we usually do it all together at the end. I wasn't clear what B and C were. I can make in my notes, so
Oh,
that way, just, if you can give me just a description. Oh, it's the,
C is the.
egress.
It's clipped together, and it's, the first page is egress stair addendum, so that's C.
That's
And
C.
all the other pages of the work, C1, 2, et cetera.
And what was B?
B was,
Oh, okay. Thank you, Rich.
yes, another packet clipped together, multiple pages, and that goes from B1 through B12. A has been marked collectively as the application. Exhibit E is the title sheet,
I have that as the site plan.
and then there's D, which consists of a series of construction drawings. I didn't mark each page separately, but they start at, what would be, okay. Exhibit D, S1.00 through 1.10, S200, S500. What is this, yours or mine? That's yours. Okay. So I think that's all of them, and it could be supplemented as we've been discussing, so that we have greater clarity, the sufficient. You have an engineer or a person who has prepared these plans. They're going to know what you're talking about when you go and talk to them about the need for. Oh, and the other exhibit D is S0.00. So it shouldn't come as any surprise. But anything that affects the zoning, the way this does, and the zoning setbacks, et cetera, really needs closer definition than what we're seeing on the plans. It's not your fault, but it's the fact that you're asking for relief on this particular point. The person preparing these plans for you should have no difficulty in bringing it up to speed.
Okay. Good?
Okay, so since this has already been taken care of, it's typical that you would move your exhibits into evidence. So you can say that you're moving them into evidence, but the record will be kept open. You'll have another plan or two that you'll bring the next time around. And we'll hang on to this and.
And this, so for now, this matter will be continued to September 18th. That's the September hearing. Is that okay?
Sure.
And if you, like I said, if you need more time, let the township know. And I can't speak for the board, but I don't see that being an issue.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you very much. Just hang on to
That was
this, right?
to September, right? Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, come on down here from Siberia. That's it. Ready? Okay. Okay. So we've been informed that appeal number 3221, applicants Catherine and Patrick Buckley, regarding property located at 306 Chamonix Lane, we've been advised that that has been, the request of council has been continued to July 17th, so it'll be on the agenda for July 17th. The next item on the agenda, 3222, is the applicant Wesley Pereira regarding property located at 200 Berwyn Road. That hearing has been continued to August the 5th, 2025. The next item that on the agenda for this evening is Appeal 3223, the applicant Anna and Michael Moreland, property located at 625 Cornerstone Lane and zoned R1 DM, residential density modification. Applicant seeks relief from section 28097B2 of the code to extend their deck into the side yard setback. Are the applicants here?
He's a contractor. Yeah. Michael. Michael Moreland, Moreland.
We have a microphone that we have there. Please use it. Speak up. Who's going, if you, sir, your name is?
Michael Moreland.
You're the applicant.
I'm the applicant, correct.
And you, sir, Michael Kuntz? Kurtz. Kurtz. K-U-R-T. And you are? I'm with the builder. You are the builder? You are with the builder?
With Fisher Brothers Exterior. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As mentioned, my wife and I have lived in our house since 2017, and we have an existing deck. We have an existing deck in the backyard that is falling into disrepair and needs to be replaced very much. And we wish to replace that, but also to put a little more additional space onto the deck. Given the location of the house on the plot, as you can see, we have a kind of, we're on the corner of Cornerstone Lane, and that as a result of that, our house kind of sits oddly relative to the setback lines. And so the existing deck, as you can see, is already non-conforming. And so what we're asking for is a variance to replace that and build a little additional deck space that will also, some of which will also come into the setback line. The existing deck is relatively small. I mean, we entertain a fair amount, and we actually have the grill kind of off to the side and the yard because of the small size of the existing deck. That's why we'd like a little additional space. We also, I should say, have the support of our backyard neighbors to have this additional deck space placed in the yard.
Let's just get through your paperwork here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're clear. This is your application, correct?
Correct.
Exhibit A. Right, Dick? I believe that you have a copy of your deed.
Correct.
That's exhibit B. And also, there's a collection of photographs, which we're going to go through, you're going to go through momentarily.
Okay.
There's like an email, which I want to see. It's one page. Now, would you describe what this is? Is it from a neighbor?
This is an email from the neighbors who are directly across from that back part of the fence.
Where do these live?
They're on this, their house is roughly right here, so.
So this is a subject called Your Patio Project, Eric Holland.
Correct.
It's addressed to you and your wife, and also to CC to Ashley Roth. Oh, Ashley Roth, R-O-T-H.
That's his
And
wife.
it's, they're speaking favorably. They reviewed your plan, and they thank you, and it's supportive of your plan, of your application.
Correct.
And the next is a collection of photographs, some of which are stapled together. All right. So okay, there appears to be a group of photographs, also what looks like be a computer-generated drawing of some sort, and a work order. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to go through each of these and describe what they're depicting.
Okay.
And then finally, the last thing is the new site plan that you've put up.
Mhm.
And we'll mark that,
I think the photos are D, Mr. Chairman.
next one's D.
The
Okay.
photos would be D, the packet of photos would be D, so the site plan would be E. That's my count so far.
Okay. So the photographs are, what did you say,
D,
D? We'll mark them collectively as Exhibit D.
yes, sir.
And then there is a, okay, there's a drawing called Existing Site Plan. We can make that Exhibit, what are we up to? E, F, Exhibit F? New site plan is Exhibit G. And then, I think that's it. Okay, I think we have everything. All right. So why don't we start with the photographs?
All right.
And start with the photograph.
I'm not sure what order you have them in. You could show
Well,
me.
it's the way it came out of the clip. So this photograph, this is Exhibit D, the first of the photographs. What does that show us?
That shows the picture from the existing deck out through the backyard to the neighbors, the Hollands.
Okay. Excuse me.
Holland, like the country, Holland.
Now, this is the existing deck, the rail of the existing deck?
Correct.
All right, and what's the next one is, so that's Exhibit D1. The next one, which shows these flowers?
So that's the, again, the existing deck, looking, as you're looking toward the rear to the right, you see the steps down into the yard, and that's where the additional deck space will be built.
Okay. Next exhibit would be D3, which,
So again, from the existing deck, and that's looking to the left, out to the side to, go back to the existing, or the new plan. That would be looking out this way.
okay, referring to Exhibit E,
Correct.
which is the, looks like the new plan. Okay. And the next photograph is this one? What's that showing us?
That's from the, roughly from the, inside the fence on the backyard, at the house and the existing deck.
Okay, now does this, I've marked this D4. Okay, so it's the existing deck. And can you describe for us what you're changing about this deck from what it is now to what you, for which you need zoning relief?
Well, and here I might call in Mr. Kurtz. Do I need to qualify him as an expert to offer testimony?
Yeah.
Right.
And Mr. Kurtz, what's your profession again?
I work for the builder that is going to be building the deck.
Okay, and what's your experience with matters such as this?
I do the permitting for Fisher Brothers.
For how many years have you been?
For Fisher Brothers, about a year.
Sir, if you could use the mic.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah. There we go. For Fisher Brothers, about a year and 2 months.
And what did you do before that?
I was a operations manager at a building supply company.
And have you appeared before zoning hearing boards or any other similar
Yes.
organization where you've got to give specialized testimony regarding design and construction of various items?
I've appeared before 3 now with Fisher Brothers.
All right, well, you will move him in as an expert, and it'll be granted without exception.
So moved.
So the question that I asked is, can you either by referring to one of the other exhibits, this happens to be Exhibit E, or one of the larger versions of this, can you show us exactly what it is that you're asking for, where the relief is that you're asking for? See what I'm saying? You want
Yeah.
to make this porch bigger, correct?
I'm sorry?
You want to make the porch,
The deck,
the deck
Yeah.
larger?
yes.
Correct.
Yeah, the deck that you saw in the pictures obviously needs replaced, and they would just like to add to that deck while they're doing it.
Okay.
And add basically 10 foot.
And it will also be it won't be raised anymore, it'll be on the ground,
Okay.
like that.
I lost track of the exhibit numbers, but the site plan that we were just looking at, I think it might be E. Is there any document that we have that shows the measurement between the side yard and the point of that deck, and so that we know exactly what the encroachment is?
On the plot plan, the 14 foot 4 inches. The new site plan, is that the one you're referring to? Oops.
Small one.
Well, we have a small one.
Okay. And the required there is 25, okay.
Okay, so these are two larger drawings marked Exhibit F and G, I think I put down here. And one of them is existing plan. And Exhibit G is a larger version of the new site plan. And it looks like the addition will be, say, 12 feet by 12 feet 6 inches, is that correct?
Yes.
For a total of 160 square feet. Okay. And
Actually, that's the encroachment, correct? 12 feet, 6 inches is how far it's encroaching the setback, is that correct?
No,
I think that's just.
No.
That's
that's the deck. The encroachment is actually 11 feet.
Because of the angle.
Yeah, because of the angle. There's a little bit there's 18 inches of that deck. You can see on the inside of the setback line.
So what consideration, it's either for either of you, what consideration has been given to asking us for the smallest additional deck that you could ask for, while at the same token balancing against everything that you want to achieve here?
Well, I mean, it's already, even the existing deck is already non-conforming. And then he wanted to replace that and add that to it. So we found we were gonna need a variance to do that because the existing, the way the house is set, we really don't have much of an option there. Everything they do back there looks like it's gonna be, without doing a little pie wedge of a deck, I mean, that wouldn't be realistic.
Right, I get that. But I guess my question then is, 12 feet, 6 inches, that I understand, that's going to create your rectangle. But why 12 feet in addition? Why not 10 feet, 8 feet, something a little bit less? Is there a reason why?
That was already with the existing deck.
The width I get.
Okay, I'm
It's the
sorry.
additional 12 feet that I want an answer to.
Oh, the
Why
width
the additional,
along the
why not
house.
less?
It would come in, if we can look, and I don't know what exhibit that was.
This is this picture right here. Go ahead. Mike.
It's just gonna come even with this little bump out he has on his house here. They just wanted to, end it somewhere that looked appealing in there, rather than halfway through that or something like that, you know what I mean?
There's a bump out kitchen dining area there, and so that would line up with that. rather than randomly somewhere in the middle of that.
For that collection of photos and other documents, starting with the one we've been considering with the, showing the deck, the existing deck, that's D4. There's a second photo.
Yes.
Same deck, it shows the steps coming down.
Correct.
And then this is a computer, what is this, a computer-generated image?
Yeah, that's one we had done for those. Fisher Brothers had done that.
So that would be D6. And it shows, the material for the deck is what? Wood?
It's wood framing with a composite decking.
And you're eliminating the steps, I take it? It looks like they're not
Yeah,
gonna be there.
if you look back there at that door, we're putting the steps in there. So the deck is going to be actually dropped down from where it is existing. So there's going to be 2 steps there, and then over at the end of the kitchen bump out, there's another step of 8 inches, which is going to bring the deck down to about 8 inches on that end.
And what will the deck be sitting on?
Will it be sitting on?
Yeah, is it on a concrete pad? Is it?
Oh, it's going to have footers and 6x6s.
I'm sorry, footers and
6x6 treated posts, and
So I do have a question. Just when going about the design for this, I mean, is there any other consideration or a reasonable way where this could be designed where you're not requesting? I mean, 11 feet of relief that's being, approximately 11 feet that's being requested for relief. I mean, that's a decent amount. So is there any additional manners to design this or any other considerations for reducing what's being requested here? You know what I mean? Like, is there a way to go further back into where you're not within the setbacks? You know what I'm saying? Like, just when looking at the plan.
yeah, no,
Is there a
to stay
reasonable
out of
way?
the setback, you're only at, that's that pie wedge there.
Right.
That's about the only option for that.
But anything like further back in the yard, or is that just not feasible here? You know what I'm saying? Like anything?
Well, because the setback is already there, right? So, I mean, we don't see it as a viable option. It would be to build off the side of the house, but then it's not a back deck anymore.
Okay.
If you see it, I mean,
Right.
again,
Got it. Okay.
it's how the house sets relative to the setbacks is that even parts of the house are sort of not conforming, but, so again, to have a deck back there, I just think wouldn't be aesthetically or utility-wise, wouldn't make any sense. Sorry, it wouldn't make any sense utility-wise to have it on the side.
Thank you.
Well, it looks as if the deck will be increased by 160 square feet, is that right?
Yes.
It's already 280 square feet. The municipality's planning code, when somebody comes in and asks for a variance from the zoning ordinance, a dimensional one in particular where you're encroaching on setbacks, there has to be, the board has to determine that there's a hardship and that and the hardship wouldn't be that, well, I just would like to have a bigger deck than I already have because we can entertain more people or something like that. It's not the type
No,
of,
I
it has to
think
be
the-
something unique to the property that restricts your ability to use the property in a manner that you would like to use it, but it has to be a hardship with the property itself, the land itself. I'm struggling with this because of the size of the, and we can only give the minimum variance necessary. We can't add something in there just for the heck of it. So it just looks like a very large addition in a deck that looks like it needs to be rebuilt. From the photographs that I can see, it does look it's kind of tired. And you will be eliminating the steps. But it just, right now, it just seems like a big ask for something where the hardship is a little obscure.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, the hardship is the way that the house is situated on the property and our ability to use our backyard in a way that I don't think the current deck, as I mentioned, seems relatively small. As you can tell from this picture, as I mentioned, the grill is off on the side because there's really not enough room for both the table and the grill. So we'd like a bigger deck, not just for the sake of it, but to utilize our backyard. And given the location of the house on the property, really the only option is, there really is no option except to move into the setback. And as mentioned, we thought from a planning and building standpoint, it made the most sense then to move it out to looking at here to the left to line up with the building line.
Is this the southern side of the house?
This
Get a lot of sunlight?
in the morning it does, so it's kind of the east, southeastern. If I could be wrong about that, but I'd have to think about it.
Any more questions from the board regarding the application? Okay. Any public comment? If anyone has public comment, they can raise their hand, and I don't see any. I don't see any public comment or anybody who's here for public comment. You have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. You would make a motion now to move the exhibits into evidence. We'll deem that you've made that motion, and the exhibits will be accepted into evidence. So,
Mr. Chairman, I so move the exhibits into evidence.
okay, without objection. Okay. Can we have a motion, please?
Sure, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman. So I will make the motion for the approval of appeal number 3223, the applicant Anna and Michael Moreland, property located at 625 Cornerstone Lane and zoned R1-DM, for the applicant seeking relief from section 280-97B2 of the code to extend their deck into the side yard setback in accordance with the testimony and evidence presented.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'll make a few comments if that's okay. So the existing deck clearly encroaches on that setback already. It's in need of replacement. There doesn't seem to be any question about that. To me, Mr. Chairman, you asked about the hardship. I think it's Exhibit E, if I'm not mistaken, the site plan. To me, that actually exemplifies the hardship in this case. You've got a property that narrows in width from its front to its rear by almost 40 feet along that length of the property. The house, to add worse or insult to injury, right, the house sits cat-a-corner within the building envelope, which makes the construction or repair or replacement of this existing deck, anything you do would require relief and significant relief. Even if the proposal was for a 10-foot wide deck, you'd still need significant relief. So while 11 feet 8 inches is a large encroachment against 25 feet, it's nearly 50%, I don't think it's an unreasonable request. You have no neighbor opposition. In fact, you had neighbor support, the one email. And so I'll be voting in favor of approving it.
I would also just add that if the property was straight, they probably wouldn't need a variance at all. Kind of as you were saying, the edge of the deck that's closest to the setback line looks like it's in compliance. So if the house, wasn't catty corner, they might not even need the variance in the first place. So that's the hardship that I see.
I also think that this is a density modification area. I think density modification seems to encourage not asking for the zoning relief, but that you can have these lots that are almost from the get-go non-conforming to start with. And I think we saw one a few weeks ago that was like that. And that's something we have to take into consideration. And also, I think that the state of the repair or disrepair of the present one actually will be an improvement over what was there previously. So I would also be voting in favor of this. So any other comment?
So you guys made some very good comments there. My additional comment is that the current deck is elevated, and this is actually going to be less obtrusive in a way, given that it's going to be actually lower down on the ground. So if this was a high deck and then they're pushing into the setbacks, I would have strong feelings about that. But given that this is a bit lower, I think it's reasonable in consideration, and also given the irregularity of the lot, the shape of the lot, that this is reasonable.
Okay, let me call the vote.
I'm in favor.
Aye.
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 Okay. Your request is approved.
I thank the
Good
board.
luck with your plan, your project. Where's the? Let me just put this. Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is appeal number 3224. There's actually two appeals from the same applicant. Appeal 3224. The applicant is La Cabra Brewing Company, Brewing LLC, property located at 806-810 Glenwood Avenue, Zone C1 Commercial. Applicant seeks relief from Section 280-48 and 280-115.4, 10BC, and D of the code to construct an outdoor seating deck. Now, the very next appeal is also by La Cabra Brewing LLC, property located at 812 Glenwood Avenue and Zone C1 Commercial. The applicant seeks relief from Section 280-48 and 280-115, 10BC, and D of the code to construct outdoor seating deck. So because these sound the same, and if you want to handle each one individually, that's fine, but we thought we would do this, both 3224 and 3225 together. Okay?
That'd be great. I do have, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Alexander McDonald.
And Jack Lane. I do, I'm going to be representing, my name's Jack Lane. I work for Le Cabre Brewing in the operations
Use the
department.
microphone.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, use the microphone, the handheld. The acoustics in here sort of
Sure.
are tough, so it's really better for you to be using that, okay? So
Yes, sir. Yeah, so my name's Jack Lane. I'm going to be representing, oh, sorry. Check, check. All right, we're good now. Sorry. Yeah, my name's Jack Lane. I am an employee of Le Cabre Brewing. I work in the operations department here. I'm joined by Alexander McDonald, one of our owners and operations manager himself. I do have some supplemental information that Mr. Kochansky requested that I could bring to the meeting. If it's all right, I could present to you guys.
okay. Okay, now you got to use the microphone, sorry.
So provided in the packet that you guys have should be a full-size, I believe a D-size drawing of the entire site plan, in which the supplemental drawings that I will be submitting are referenced to. It's also cited on the drawings that I have here, which plans, in fact, were cited for the matter.
Is there, a question I have, that is there duplication in these applications?
Yes, sir.
So we're not sitting here marking exhibits like we're all in grade school until,
Yeah, so essentially the reasoning between the two applications, I was told from the zoning department, because the variances that we seek, essentially we're seeking a retroactive permit for a deck that we already built. That deck is in fact built on two separate properties, so we are requesting variances essentially from both properties. That's why we have two applications.
okay, all right.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I was thinking about it. Perhaps we hear the evidence on one,
Yes,
and then we just adopt
yes.
the record in the second.
Yes, I think that's the best way to do it. Which one would you, we have, so the appeal 3222, which is dealing with property located at 806-811 Glenbrook. We'll start with that one.
Okay, so 806-810 Glenbrook. Sorry, I didn't hear you at first. That was the property in question, correct?
Well, we could, at second glance, I think it might be easier to deal, since the issues may be similar, maybe not, deal with the first one, and then depending on how that goes, we might not need to take as much testimony regarding the second, but, and just
Yeah, so
treat it as one, deal with it with one motion.
yes, sir. So from what I understand, we violated essentially the side yard setback for this property. The deck within itself.
See, this property, let's confine ourselves
to-
3220, 3224, and we'll just deal with that one for right now, okay? That property.
All right, so 3224, that should be the 806-810
Correct.
Glenbrook Ave.
Yes.
Yeah, so we essentially, I just want to pull up my math real quick. I just need the quick dimension sheet. So for 806-810, essentially the setback that relief that we're requesting is 99 feet, 1.75 inches. And the reasoning for that is, from my understanding for the code, that you cannot build a dining structure within 100 feet of a property line. Now, in this case, the deck is built on top of a property line. We do have explicit consent from the property owners of both of those properties, 806-810 and 812-814, to have constructed the deck on said property. Now, because of essentially where the property line is located, where the deck currently sits, the impervious coverage from the deck on property 806 to 810 is 18.3 square feet. Now, when you have that in a, I guess, a lateral dimension, that is, 99 feet, 1.7 inches, I guess, into that setback line, into that 100-foot setback line.
Did you say 99 feet?
Well, yes, from my understanding, the code says you cannot build a deck within 100 feet of a property line. On this drawing, which is page 2 of your supplemental information I just provided, it's a little hard to see with the focus, but the property line is indicated by the red hashed line that goes through the deck. The deck being located on the 806, 810 property is essentially the extent of the deck is 10 inches, 10.25 inches to the property line. If it helps illustrate, I do have some pictures of the deck already.
Are you referring to the outdoor dining setback for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the outdoor dining setback.
That 100-foot requirement is for single and two-family dwellings.
Yeah,
I
and
believe that's a multifamily.
that is a multifamily, and it is zoned C1 as well.
So I'm not sure that that is even a variance that is necessary because the adjoining property at 812,
814.
814
Yeah.
is, how many units are in
It's
there?
a 3-unit building.
So it's multifamily, so it's not a 1 or 2.
Yes, sir, correct.
So that 100-foot setback is not a requirement for this application.
Okay, so let me just,
Where does that leave us?
Yeah, that's just one. The primary concern, Mr. Chairman, was that the principal building setbacks for the C1 district are being violated because decks are considered structures, and that's ultimately, there's a 0-foot setback for both parcels.
is that a 280-48 that you're referring to? Or a 280-115.4? I do have a copy of the codes if they would like to be presented.
48 is the C1 principal building setback
Okay.
requirements for the
Yep.
deck. The 115.4 is the outdoor dining regulations.
Okay.
Well, setting aside the fact that apparently the deck was built without getting proper zoning approvals, let's just gloss over that for a minute. It's your responsibility to present the case and to present sufficient evidence to fit yourself within one of the, you're looking for a variance, in satisfying the criteria necessary to be granted a variance. We can't help you out. We can't, we're not advocates here. We're like judges, so we can't help you out. So I'm getting the sense that, and I'm being just brutally honest, that you're really not prepared to put this forward.
So from, sorry.
Well, most of the time, it's nice if people can come here without a lawyer and be able to talk about why they have a hardship and why they need the zoning relief. And,
Yeah.
you know, we'll ask some questions and so on. I mean, you sat through the last one. That was a pretty good primer on what's going on here. However, yours is a commercial operation, and I would tend to think that you would want someone here who has a good grip on the code and exactly what you're trying to do, and where is the hardship going to come in?
So we have spoken with someone briefly, and they kind of recommended that we proceed forward with the information that we provided. The hardship that we are enduring is trying to remain a competitive business in the area. It is located in a very difficult location that I would say is tough to make people feel like they're not next to County Line Road or the 100 or Wawa. Previously, there was a house that was there for, I think, 12 years that was condemned. So we, kind of persevered through that and had a small area, but now we're just trying to improve it. We believe that within the deck where it's built is the only area that we could really do anything. And again, getting permission from the building owners. We mistakenly did not get a building permit in advance because of the size of the deck. It's not elevated. It doesn't, restrict any ADA stuff. But yeah, it's for us to remain competitive in this location without having any sort of outdoor dining. We only have about 40 seats inside. It's necessary for sure.
All right. Why don't you, using the exhibits that are here, and we're going to have to mark them as we go through it, okay? Which, they should be pre-marked, okay? So we don't have to do that, because we have a record here, and that's how we identify what are the documents that we're seeing, what's being moved into evidence, and so on. So everything should be marked. But let's at least, let's look at your application, which is appeal number 3224, and we'll make that Exhibit A. But after that, you have photographs, and we need your testimony. Regarding the exhibits that you had, the photographs, what are we looking at? I've heard some references to some sort of a working relationship that you have with the property owner or a property owner who, on whose property the deck sits, if I understood what was said before.
Yeah, so we lease from Aaronwold is the company. They recently bought all of those apartment buildings, and then including the one that we are in, which is apartments and restaurant.
Okay, well, let's refer to the exhibits that you have.
Okay.
Let's refer, so I see that there's, I can mark this Exhibit B, which it says Aaron Wood. It's dated May 21st, 2025. It's addressed to Alex McDonald.
Yes, sir.
Referencing 806 810 Glenwood Avenue. What is this attached for? What is it? Can you identify this document for me?
Yes, this is a document from the property owners, and they are giving us, written permission to build the deck on their property.
What is the, is there some sort of other document that defines for how long you can use this property? Or is it in perpetuity, or, what?
It is in perpetuity. We do have currently a lease that will end in 3 years. If you would like, I can pull up. We are currently redrafting our lease to be for an additional 10 years on top of what we are already agreed upon. And then within that would be the deck as part of it.
Okay. So after the letter from the owner giving permission to put in the deck, why don't you refer to the packet that you have in front of you, okay? You've got this photograph, or no, is this a photograph, or is this a computer drawing of some sort? What is that?
So, excuse me.
We'll mark this exhibit.
Do you have that?
So that photograph, we actually do not have a copy of that present. That was originally included for our design review board hearing to illustrate essentially what the deck would look like with customers aboard and with a rendering at nighttime as well. We just wanted to try to provide, as much additional information on top of, what we had. And a lot of this work, we did, in-house.
Okay, so the next one is, it's a footing framing plan. This is exhibits, we'll make this exhibit D. And who prepared the plan?
I'm sorry.
Who
So
prepared the plan?
Ellie Hayes Architecture.
And the deck that is existing there right now, was it built in accordance with this plan or plans?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it looks like there's one, two, there's 3 pages of plans, all right? There's a site plan, elevation, and footing framing plans. It's Exhibit D1, D2, D3. And behind that is a photograph. Okay, so let's put the photograph up on the screen, put it on the table, center it so people can see it. There you go, color photograph right there. Move it over a little bit. Okay. Now, what do we see? You have 2 photographs there. What do we see in the photographs?
So the photograph on my left, that is the, I guess you'd call it the front of the deck coming from the front of or to the right of our building. That would be 806 and 808, or sorry, 806 and 810. The photograph on the right is coming from behind property 812 and 814.
Okay, so the
And in the front I refer to is where Glenbrook goes, and then the back would be the back parking lot.
So the photograph in which you can see the sides of the fence, and also there's a gray 3-story, looks like a 3-story building behind it. That's Exhibit E, and that's looking. And then the next photograph.
Yeah. So
They're not in order. Hang on for a second. Okay, this must. Okay, so I have a total of 6 photographs, all as part of the Exhibit E package, okay? I'm looking at a photograph that I've marked Exhibit E2, and it looks like it's a picnic table. Right there.
Yes, so
How
previously.
have you marked your photographs, okay?
Okay.
You are the current one represented on the left side. You guys marked at which exhibit, just so I can.
E2.
E2.
So what's a picnic table doing there? Is that part of the operation?
It was previously, we had 4 picnic tables in that area where the deck is currently built. That picnic table will be removed, though. It has honestly just been a thing that we had there to block the area.
When were these photographs taken?
In May?
2025?
Yes, sir.
Do they accurately depict what the area looks like today?
Yes.
What is on the left-hand side of the photograph with the aluminum stacks that are coming out? Is that your restaurant?
Yes, sir. That is where our ventilation goes for our smoker and our wood-fired oven.
Okay. And then on the left-hand side, what is that building?
On the left-hand side of
Of the photograph that's been marked E2.
that is our restaurant.
Right.
And then that's
The other
also
side, what's on the other side there?
on the other side of that is a street. We end at like a
In
corner.
the photograph.
So
On the right-hand side of the photograph that's marked E2, what is that?
that would
building?
be
That's
A12.
yeah, that's 812, 814. Sorry.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a property apartment rentals. It's 3-bedroom. A lot of college students live there. Really, in that whole area is all like Villanova students. I think it's like 3 different rental properties that they have, not including our own.
You don't own that property.
We do not own that property. We don't. None of the properties in this area we own. It's all owned by the one group with the letter that we have. They own all 4 of those properties, specifically for us, 806 and 812 and 814.
Okay, there's a photograph that's E5. I can see the picnic tables are there. So are they still there? I don't see the deck, actually. All I see is picnic tables.
Yeah. So apologies when I
You don't
down.
have to apologize. Just
Yeah.
this photograph was taken before you put in the deck.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Same thing with E6. That shows picnic tables and maybe a deck. I'm not really sure. What is the street that's that your restaurant fronts on?
It's Glenbrook Avenue, but it's County Line and Bryn Mawr Ave. Thank you. So it's kind of that weird intersection. It's behind Bryn Mawr Hospital. The Wawa's across the street. We're down from the 100 is right near us.
Your application says applicant seeks relief from section 280.48 and 280.115.4, subparts B, C, and D of the code to construct an outdoor seating area. So can you tell us more about what it is that you're seeking relief from? We already,
So my understanding is the relief that we're seeking is related to the fact that the deck itself is built on 2 separate properties, and being that it's built on 2 separate properties, the setback in the setback in which you could build a structure in proximity to a property line, I believe that we are very much with it, like we're inside of the range in which you're not allowed to build a structure, more or less. So, and because of how the property line splits the deck, sorry.
use the handheld thing, will you?
Yeah, so because the deck is built on two properties, we were told from the building department that we would need to seek a variance for either property because of which that structure is built in proximity to the property line thereof.
So it's encroaching on the property line.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, there is a 20-foot side yard setback. They're violating the 20-foot side yard setback because the deck is built over the property line.
Okay. So the relief that you're seeking would be to relief from the entire setback.
In essence, he's got, as I mentioned earlier, a 0-foot setback on the side for both of these properties.
I have a couple questions.
Sure, please.
The opening to get into the deck to sit down, is it at least 44 inches wide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If the health officer asked for any sort of roof covering, do you have a plan of how that would look? How you would construct a roof over this deck?
So our original plan was to do like a fabric vinyl roof covering. If it is required by the health department for a permanent structure, we can utilize the existing footings and essentially take, so the footings have 4x6 posts mounted on top. We can essentially pull out that portion of decking and extend those posts upward to create the proper structure to build a permanent roof covering on it.
Okay. How many seats do you envision on this deck?
So we're limited by the dining code of that to 25% of our interior capacity. So I believe right now our interior seating capacity is 38. So we'd be looking at approximately 9 patrons for the deck.
Okay. The code speaks to this idea of permanent surface. To me, that is the surface underneath. And in looking at some of your photographs, I guess theoretically it could be the surface that you're actually sitting on. So the wood deck could be the permanent surface. I'm being told yes. All right, I won't ask that bad question then. You'll have trash receptacles out for your patrons to use?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, all right. So the only thing that I don't see in these plans is under 280-48G, there's a requirement for lot coverage. And while I see you indicate how much impervious you add by the deck itself, I don't see anything that indicates what's existing and therefore whether or not you're within code.
Decks are no longer considered impervious, so that's a recent change in 2025. So
I'm reading from when I first went on. I might have to print a new copy, Kevin.
Well, there's still an impervious coverage requirement for the district, but the township no longer considers decks to be impervious surface. So
Got it.
it's
Okay.
a net zero.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So actually, I have a question for council here. So one thing I'm just looking at here, just given that the deck is built over 2 properties, and therefore they're asking for a variance related to both properties. And of course, variances run with the land itself. So let's say, I mean, these properties are owned by a real estate investment company, from what I'm understanding here. So these could be sold at some point in time. What would, like, if relief were to be granted, what would that look like if, let's say, the 806 to 810 Glenbrook were sold, and then yet there's a deck that we've granted relief on?
Sure.
Sitting there, so.
They could, well, it would, as you stated correctly, that's why we need clear authorization from the owner because it impacts the owner. Obviously, it's going to benefit the tenants of the property, the applicants in this case, but it would run with the land. So any changes that, let's say, if one building was sold to a different owner, they're bound by this decision. Now, obviously, if they remove the deck, that essentially eliminates what they were doing. But if anybody wanted to try to keep that deck and make an alteration to it, they couldn't without coming to the board for approval. And the township, I'm sure, would make sure that that happened.
Okay, I appreciate that. So
Of course.
just a-
Yeah, so the owners are bound, so when applicants are not the owner, that's why we seek for those letters, or we require the letters submitted by owners saying that they are allowing the variance to be applied for with the understanding that it's going to affect their ownership rights of the property.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Is it your intention to use the deck year-round?
Weather permitting, we'll use it within the boundaries that outdoor permitting allows us to do. But yeah, I mean, the goal is to maximize the usage as much as possible. And as we can see with the way the weather is, it can be a little bit better sometimes in the fall than it is in the summer. So, but yeah, ideally, as long as it's good outside, we would want to utilize it.
And what is the lighting that is in the deck? I can't identify it.
So currently, there's a front street light that is not pictured. That's like right in front of actually where this picture is taken, and then there is additional lighting in the alleyway. We were going to add aesthetic rope lighting that you would see at outdoor patio kind of areas, which we discussed with the design review board.
In addition to, people sitting there, service people serving them, et cetera, is there any plans for music piped in or music outside, anything like that?
No, sir. No, we won't have any additional sound or music.
Any other questions presently? No?
I do have a question, just, maybe this was addressed with Rich's question regarding the width of the access in between the deck and the closest building. But are there any concerns or consideration has been given regarding just emergency ingress and egress? I'm thinking if you have a lot of people on the deck, can they get in and out? Is it up to par, up to code and standard in that regard?
Yes. So we do have multiple openings for the deck. And then as far as that space goes that's in between the building, which I believe is what you're referring to, we did not encroach upon any of the cement sidewalk that was there previously. And all of that stuff in between was essentially unwalkable and unusable. It's just dirt that was ground up from the construction project before where they took down that existing house.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, in response to your question about what seasons they're going to be operating, the code requires them to only be open between March 1st and November 30th. That's the only time outdoor dining is permitted.
Okay. Looking at the other application for 30, or no, I'm sorry, 812, is it? Glenbrook? Where is that? I'm in favor right now, just for efficiency purposes, of looking at the other one, because I think some of the questions are probably going to be similar as to.
If I'm understanding correctly, Mr. Chairman, what we're looking at in E2, you had asked about that building to the right side of that photograph. That's 812, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, because they are apartment buildings and multi-home, they have multiple addresses within the building.
Although I guess theoretically, at some point, this triple N was 812, the building was 814.
Okay, so we're talking about one deck, not another deck that's,
Yes, just the one deck, and because it's on the two property lines was the reason for the two separate applications. And because of them having multiple addresses, it probably looks like we're actually applying for like 4 different addresses right now, but.
okay, I understand. Any other questions this time? Any public comment? Okay, I'm not seeing any.
We can make the exhibits part of the record,
Yes,
Mr.
you
Chairman.
have to move your exhibits into the record, so why don't you move the exhibits for both applications into the record?
Mr. Chairman, I request to move the exhibits into the record.
Okay, without objection, okay.
If I could,
Make a motion?
if I can make a recommendation, that we consolidated the record for the purposes of the hearing, but because there's 2 separate applications, I hate to make you do it twice. And again, so the board knows, the only ordinance that they need relief from is 280-48. So we don't need the other ordinance according to the zoning officer and the applicant. So the only thing they need is 280-48, which is the side yard setback requirement. They need relief to allow this deck to continue to exist in the setbacks for both properties.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. So I would move that the application for relief from section 280-48 to permit the construction of outdoor seating deck within the side yard setback. This is under Appeal 3224. Based on the testimony, plans, and evidence submitted be granted.
I'll second that. I think you should make a similar motion regarding the other one because it's only half of the.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
They will be 2 separate decisions.
Right,
Okay.
because it's 2
One
separate
record,
applications.
but 2 separate decisions.
Okay.
So, just so that I'm clear, we made a conscious decision as a board a number of years ago that all of our motions are made in the affirmative. Otherwise, it gets too confusing with the negative. I move to deny and then you vote in favor. It sounds odd. So we decided long ago that we would make motions in the affirmative and then vote against them. So I am extremely empathetic for outdoor seating. We've granted it many times in my tenure on this board, and I think it's an important component to Radnor Township, certainly to restaurant establishments to maintain competitiveness and viability. You guys are in a really difficult spot in that corner. I acknowledge all of that, but I think that this is a little too much relief needed. You're straddling 2 property lines. It's not even quite clear whether or not you're straddling, are you in fact straddling, or are you just sitting, right up against the 810 property line or the 812 property line. But no matter how you slice it, to me, it's a big ask, and I just think it's a lot to ask for in this particular situation. I'm not pleased with the build first, ask for forgiveness mentality either. I'm not necessarily judging what you did. Perhaps you didn't know. I'll give you the benefit.
Yeah, we absolutely had, Jack was mid-project, and Andy Pankos came up and said, deck looks great, everything's awesome. And, from there, we have been trying to go through every correct process and do everything and come to everything.
But I'm going to be voting against this particular application.
Any other comment or discussion, I should say? I'm sorry. No?
Just to confirm, was there a second on the motion?
Yes, John.
Okay, John.
I seconded it, yeah. All right, let me call the vote.
Unfortunately, I'm not in favor.
Nay.
No, I'm not in favor either. I understand your difficulties, and I understand you want to maximize the use of the property, but I'm just not happy with the way that it went. You know, you're in a business that's heavily regulated. I think you went and got permission from the owner. It seems to me that you should have known to come to the township first and not have to put yourself in this position. So I'm going to vote no.
I'm also voting no.
So I think it's unanimous to reject the application of,
Are we able to appeal that at all, or?
8224. Now we have 8225, right?
3225?
225.
3225. We just voted on 3224, right? Okay. So that was denied. Unless somebody has the wisdom of Solomon, I'm not sure how we're going to not deny.
Correct, but just for purposes of the record, I think, and especially if there's going to be an appeal, you should just, I'm sorry, but it should be moved and voted on because there are two separate applications, so.
Rich, you want to make that again?
Sure, yeah. So under appeal number 3225, I would move that the application for relief from section 280-48 with respect to the construction of an outdoor seating deck within the side yard setbacks, based on the plans, evidence, and testimonies presented, be approved.
I'll second that. Can we call the vote?
So I'm not in favor of that.
Yeah, nay.
Nay?
Nay.
The application has been denied.
Now, sir, you asked, we can't give you legal advice. You do have appeal rights, though, that you can appeal this to the Court of Common Pleas. That's the only avenue of appeal that you have. That needs to be done within 30 days.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We're going to adjourn for 5 minutes.
Sir, yeah, just so you know, the zoning officer, I'm glad, it's 30 days, but 30 days from when you receive the written decision. So you still have time. All right? The board has 45 days to get that written decision to you. All right? Thank you.
We're just taking a break for a couple of minutes.
Okay, take your break.
Number 1 wasn't a continuation.
Oh. Yeah, well, yeah.
Do you have an extra set of exhibits by any chance? If not, maybe at the end of the night.
At the end, I'm going to leave one here,
Okay.
that, and this is for my witness.
Yeah, when the witness is done, I'll just take it.
Yeah, I thought I had another one, but. Yeah, we'll give you one of those when we're done.
Oh, no. There's so many lords in Radnor. They're trying to figure out which ones are related and which ones are not.
There'll be one consolidated record. You'll have both titles on one
I was
transcript, right?
figuring that out as we
Perfect,
went
good.
along.
Thank you.
This is your
I'll
copy
just
for
put
you.
both numbers on
Yeah, that's,
one
yeah,
transcript.
you'll have one. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
You'll be able, you'll need to have a seat. Relax.
Yeah, I think someone I graduated high school with him, or I think that might have been his grandfather. That's his father. Because his father was a lawyer, so that probably.
So the final item on the agenda tonight is Appeal 3226. The applicant is JGVS LP, property located at 936 County Line Road and Zone C1 Commercial. Applicant seeks relief from section 280-103B, 11 in parens of the code to allow a reduction of 6 parking places. There are currently 9 parking spaces on the premises, and the code requires 15 spaces. Okay, so,
Ready?
have you been sworn in?
He
Okay,
needs to be sworn
that's number 1.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your full name and spell it.
James R. D'Angelo.
Spell.
Oh, JAMESD'Angelo.
Okay, now, you handed up a supplemental packet. And my question is, are there things in the supplemental packet that you just handed up this evening that are not in the application?
There may be 1 or 2 new items.
Okay,
that
let's
are
identify
going to be
those.
marked as exhibits.
And I see that you have your exhibits marked, okay, so thank you for that.
So we have the application as A1. I don't recall whether the deed was included.
Oh, yeah, we need to
Sorry.
use the mic. No, use the handheld one.
Okay. I don't recall whether the deed was part of the original submittal to you, which is A2.
Yeah, there's a deed here.
Okay. Then we have the marketing brochure from Geis Realty Group as A3.
Let me see if that's here.
And that is,
Yeah, I think this is here, 936 County Line Road, Bryn Mawr, PA, for lease.
that's it. That's it. Then we have a series of photographs, which should be part of the packet.
Yeah, there's photographs here.
It's A4. A5 is the lease between the applicant and D'Angelo Insurance and Financial Services, Inc. I don't remember if I included that.
I think so, hang on. After the photographs, there is a commercial lease agreement.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. There's 2 lease agreements, so that's, actually, there's 3. That's the first. The second one is between the applicant and Todd Moser, attorney at law.
Yes.
Okay.
Lease agreement between JGVS landlord and Todd Moser, attorney at law. Second floor, Bryn Mawr, okay, got it.
Right, that's A6. A7 is a letter dated May 18th, 2025, from Mr. Moser. Should be either attached to the lease or behind the lease. We've marked it as A7.
Yeah, I've got a to whom it may concern letter from Moser Legal.
That's it.
All right, so that's, that would be a,
And then attached also is the site plan. It's marked as A8. You should have that. I think we submitted that,
I don't see a
Sep-
site, I don't see a site plan.
I believe we submitted that separately by way of separate letter to the township.
Okay, attaches A8 to what you just handed up as a site plan.
A8, right.
And A9 is,
A9 is a third lease that's between the applicant and Peter Yampolsky. And that is not, I think that was just added, that is not part of your packet.
okay. Do you have an extra one of these that I can put in to our file? You have it?
We have, okay. I also have 2 other exhibits that I'd like to, at least like to identify. They're not part of your packet. One is A10, which is an applicant for certificate of occupancy filed by Mr. D'Angelo with the township on April 29, 2016. I'll have to provide copies because I just have it tonight. And then
Certificate of occupancy by whom?
it's application of certificate of occupancy filed by the tenant, Mr. D'Angelo, with the township for this property on April 29th, 2016. And then A11 is the certificate of occupancy granted to D'Angelo Insurance and Financial Services, Inc.
Okay. So are you going to hand up those documents, or you're just gonna put
I'll
them
have to
into-
provide them after this hearing, because I only have one copy of those. Or I can hand them up, if the township will make the copies, or I can provide the copies at a later date, whatever you prefer.
I guess the question is, do we need to have those certificates of occupancy and the application and the certificate as part of our?
Well, I think it should be part of the record, so I'll hand them up after the testimony. You can have them, and if you would like me to make copies, to supply additional copies, we can do that.
Okay, well, as long as we have them by the end of the meeting tonight, I guess you can always
Okay,
get other copies from some source.
that's fine. If you'd like me to give you a brief summary of this case?
Yes.
So, here tonight is Jim D'Angelo. He is the owner of the applicant, and he is the owner of one of the businesses occupies the premises, which is a small former residential building that was converted to office a number of years ago in the C1 district. It has on site 9 parking spaces. There's a plan attached that shows 10, but 2 of those spaces were combined to make a handicap spot, so there's 9 parking spaces. Mr. D'Angelo has been operating his insurance business on the first floor since 2016. When he bought the premises from the previous owner, that owner ran a law office. That law office was on the second floor. Those lawyers were there for about 8 months until retirement. Thereafter, Mr. D'Angelo's rented it to another law firm for a couple of years and to an engineering firm for a few years. And now he made application for UNO with the township to put in a third attorney office in there. And at that point, he was met with the township indicating that he needed zoning relief because he didn't have enough parking. So on the site, you'll see the photographs and the plan. The site in the rear is used completely for whatever parking we could put in there. It's been there, it's the same condition, hasn't changed. It's the 9 spots. It's a non-conforming condition. It's been non-conforming. We think it goes back at least 20 years, maybe longer. We're not sure the complete history, but the condition is that this is a small building that's been occupied by offices for a long time with the parking that's there. It's not changed. We're not taking away parking. We can't add any more parking. You'll see from the photographs. So Mr. D'Angelo's can testify with respect to all of that. So unless you have any other questions now, I'll just get on with his testimony. So what mic would you? Is this mic, or I can hand this to you? So you want to use this one? You can sit.
Okay.
So Mr. D'Angelo's in front of you. Just state your full name for the record, please.
James Robert D'Angelo.
And what business are you in?
I'm a State Farm agent in Bryn Mawr
And where is your business located?
at 936 County Line Road.
How long have you been operating your business at that location?
At this location since April 2016.
And were you in the insurance business before being located here?
Yes,
Yeah.
I opened in 2009 at a different location.
Okay. Did you buy the property from an entity? Who'd you buy the property from?
I think it was an entity, M&G.
Okay, I'd like you to
Gail Lewis was her name.
you could take a look at your packet here.
Okay.
Look at Exhibit A2.
Okay. M&G Lewis LLC.
Okay, and that deed would indicate when you obtained the property, is that right?
That's correct.
The M&G Lewis LLC also operate a law firm, or the owners of M&G Lewis LLC operate a law firm?
Yes, they did.
At the time you purchased the property in 2016, was the law firm located on the premises?
Yes, it was.
And where was that, first or second floor?
Second floor.
Okay. When you purchased the property, what floor did you operate your State Farm business on?
The ground floor, or first
And has it
floor.
remained on the ground floor ever since?
Continuously, yes.
Okay. I'd like you to take a look at A3, which is the brochure.
Okay.
And you just identified, is that the marketing brochure for the premises?
Yes, it is.
And in which you were marketing the first and second floors at the time, is that right?
That's
That's right.
correct.
Okay. And in that brochure, it looks to appear to be some interior photographs. Is that right?
That's correct.
And are each floor, is it fit out for offices?
It is.
Okay. And further on in the brochure, it looks like there's a schematic of both the first and second floors, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And this brochure indicates that both the first and second floors are 1,500 square feet each, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Now, I'd like you to take a look at what we...
Recenter that a little bit. I know you have to refer to it, but.
Oh, I'm
you put it
sorry.
up there. Okay, that's good, good. All right, thank you.
Okay. I'd like you to take a look at what we marked as A4, the color photographs. Now, these are marked collectively as A4. If you want us to individually mark them, we can, but could you just make sure they're under the TV there? Just one by one, just go through each one, starting with the first one, and just tell the board what the photograph depicts.
This is my building from the County Line Road, looking toward the front of it.
And there's what appears to be a gray building with some additions on it. Is that, do you own the entire building?
Yes,
Okay,
this is the building here.
okay. And keep going, what's the next photograph?
I'm sorry, can I jump in real quick? Do you own the garage or the,
I do not.
in the back? Okay.
So you're referring to that building that you can see on the right-hand side with a
Right.
truck or something? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
All right, the next photograph is also the front of the building.
This is the front of the building. You're on the sidewalk, County Line Road, facing east.
Okay, flip it to the next page. What does that show?
Kind of the same spot, just looking a little further to the right perspective
does
from
it
the, from the last photo.
Does it show the driveway to the rear?
It does. This
Okay.
is the driveway
And,
to get to the rear.
and is that driveway a shared access?
Shared access.
You
yeah.
share it with your neighbors to the right,
These neighbors here, same
Okay.
ones that own that garage.
to the right on the photograph.
Correct.
Okay, so you use this driveway to get to your property, your neighbors to the right use it to get to their property, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And the next photograph is another depiction of that driveway?
That's correct.
Okay. Go to the next photograph, what does that show?
So now we've come down that driveway and we made a left. So this is the rear of my building.
Okay, is that showing the parking lot, parking area?
This is the parking area.
Okay,
Now,
and,
wait, where's the parking area? Are you referring to your parking area or?
yes,
My parking area. So those three cars on the right would be the furthest part from the back of the parking lot and the rear of the building. And that white car on the left would be the front parking. And my building, the back of the building would be right here.
And what is that building that's on the left-hand side where you can see the back of the white car? What is, yes?
This
what
is
that
a
building?
neighbor's building.
Okay.
Does that neighbor have its own parking?
It does.
Okay. If you look at the next photograph, is that a shot of the parking lot from another angle?
This is my rear parking lot facing west.
Okay. And then look at the next photograph. Does that show the parking to the rear?
This would be if your backs up against the rear of my building, looking to the back of the parking lot.
And that's showing 5 parking spaces?
It is.
All right. And again, the next photographs show those same.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
What are the
Sure.
red signs that are there? What are they for?
They're my signs that say State Farm parking.
The next photograph, the one with the red car in it, that's another view of those same parking spaces, those 5 parking spaces?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the next photograph shows what?
This would be the front edge of the parking, the other side, closest, the parking area closest to the building.
And how many parking spaces are along there?
4.
Okay. And
1, 2, 3, 4.
if you could take a look at the next photograph, does that, again, show those same parking spaces?
Different angle, same area.
And if you could look at the next photograph, is that a clear spot?
Yep.
The last photograph showing the 4 parking spaces, one of which is a handicap spot, is that right?
That's correct.
So in total, you have 9 parking spaces?
Yes.
Do you have any more room in your rear lot to add any more parking?
I do not.
Is there any room in the front of the building to add parking?
There is not.
Any room on the side of the building to add parking?
There is not.
You have as much parking on this lot as you can get?
I do.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to jump ahead and ask you to take a look at A8, which is the site plan. Let's do it like, turn it this way, there you go. And is that an overview of your property?
Yes, it is.
And it shows your building as it's currently situated, is that right?
Correct. Yep.
And in the rear, does it show the parking spaces?
Yes.
And am I correct, if you go to the next depiction, turn that one, I think my eyes tell me that the engineer prepared has actually showed 10 parking spaces, 5 in the rear and 5 next to the building, is that right?
Yes.
It's now striped for 9 parking spaces, is that right? Because
Correct,
of the
yes.
handicap? Okay. And I guess the larger, if you turn to the next page, it's a little bit larger blow up of that page, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the parking demand for your business, how many employees do you have that work daily at your office?
I have 2 employees,
And do you work there?
and I work there.
So on any given business day, you have 3 people driving to your office and parking in the parking lot, is that right?
In office, yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Moser, who has a lease to start with your, at your premises, depending upon the outcome of this hearing, has he indicated to you, do you understand what the nature of his practice is?
Do I understand? Yes, I do.
What do you know? After speaking with him, what did you learn?
He told me he is an appellate lawyer, so his cases are, he's on the phone, computer work, doesn't have any customers coming in and out.
And does he plan on having any employees?
He's planning on hiring 1 paralegal.
Okay. And I'd like you to turn your attention then to the letter we've attached as Exhibit A7. It's in front of that. It's a letter dated May 18, 2025 from Tom and Moser. And draw your attention to the 3rd paragraph where he says, I employ a paralegal that works I'm sorry, I employ a paralegal that works directly from her home in Delaware, and I will soon be employing another paralegal to join me in the office on a full-time basis. All right?
That's right.
So your understanding is what is the parking demand that he will need for his law office at your building on a daily basis?
2 spaces.
Okay. So with your 3 and his 2, that's 5 people that will be parking there daily?
That's correct.
And would that leave 4 spaces remaining for deliveries, the occasional client or customer that comes in? Is that right?
4. That's right,
Okay.
4.
Now, tell us about the nature of the insurance business these days. What is your typical contact with clients?
Most, if not all, I guess all is not appropriate. It's all over the phone, internet, email. I rarely have a customer come into the office. Even prior to COVID and post-COVID, it's even more so the case. If I do have a customer that comes in, it's usually maybe making a cash payment. They're in and out in 5 minutes. Everything else is handled over the phone.
And has the nature of the business changed since COVID?
It has changed. I think it started before COVID, but it has changed with COVID even more so.
Now, during the times that you've had other professionals renting the second floor while you've had your insurance business on the first floor, so you've had 2 law firms and an engineering firm there. During any of those times, have you had any issues with regard to having sufficient parking on the premises?
No, it's never been a problem at all.
Now, when was the last time it was rented?
2 years ago?
Okay. And since then, have you tried to market it? Have you marketed the property?
It's been marketed the whole time.
Okay. Has, to your knowledge, has any prospective tenants raised parking as an issue?
No, not at all.
Now, according to the marketing brochure, your space, the first floor, is 1,500 square feet.
That's correct.
And if you use the township's requirement of 200, 1 space per 200 square feet, that would require 7.5 parking spaces. Is that right?
Correct.
If we round that to 8, then given your condition, you would, if you were to satisfy the township's requirement only for your business in your first floor, that would leave 1 space available for the second floor.
That's right.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it plausible that you'd be able to rent the second floor if you were only able to offer 1 parking space for your tenants?
No, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could get a successful lease.
I don't know that we've identified Exhibit A9. I don't think I've asked you about that. That is a lease between your company that owns the real estate partnership and Mr. Ian Polsky. Is that right?
Yes, that was my last tenant.
Tenant on the second floor.
Correct.
And he was there for how many years?
I think 3 years.
3 years. And he occupied it as a law firm.
That's correct.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions.
So, just so I'm clear, how many spaces would you be utilizing for yourself, your business?
3.
And you would assign how many to Mr. Moser?
2.
And you have how many, it's striped for how many, nine spaces?
9 spaces, yes, correct.
So there's a couple left over.
That's correct.
4.
Okay, and who would be using those?
Well, I think his testimony is that for the occasional customer that came in, a delivery, FedEx showed up, needed to park, for any sort of overflow needed. But it appears from my client's testimony that those uses are few and far between, but he believes there'd be adequate parking there to take care of any extra parking needed from a client that came by to drop off a premium payment, or from a delivery, or anyone that might be visiting Mr. Moser, although his letter would indicate that he doesn't expect to have any client visits to his site. But if there were, there's 4 parking spaces that can accommodate that need.
So with the addition of this new law firm, will the building be fully occupied, or are there any additional vacant suites that would need to be filled as well?
No, it would be fully occupied at that point.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just curious if
There
there
are-
may be any additional.
That's a good question.
Needs
There's just
later
2
on.
spaces, upstairs and downstairs, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And then also, forgive me, I do have another question. Have you had any talks with like, you have a shared driveway with a neighbor, have you had any discussions with the neighbors on both sides? Just given clearly we can see with the pictures, the tight parking in that area.
Yes.
You want to describe for them the common practice back there?
Yep,
Sure.
both sides is the answer to your question. On the one side, sometimes he'll or his employees might park in my parking lot just because there's all open space. And I don't police it. It's fine. It hasn't been an issue. But I have spoke with both sides, yes.
And they're okay?
They're all okay with it.
All right, thank you.
Have any of those employees or anybody else along that strip, have they approached you to rent a parking place or places from you?
No.
And if I heard that testimony correctly, based on the square footage concerning your business, you would need 7.5 parking spaces? Did I hear that?
I think that's the math that we did.
Yeah, that's the 1 parking space per 200 square feet. That's the ordinance requirement.
Right. And your testimony here today is that the nature of your insurance business is such that you don't have people coming and going on a
Yes,
regular
Chairman.
basis. They're conducting their business with you, getting quotes over the phone, right?
That's correct, yes.
And you're an agent for the full line of all states, or was it State Farm?
State Farm.
State Farm offers?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Any public comment? Okay. No public comment, so would someone make a motion?
Yeah, counsel, would you like to move your
I'll
exhibit?
move
Yes,
for
I'm sorry.
omission of my exhibits A1 through A10,
Okay.
please.
All right, and you're going to give us copies of, we don't have A10 and we don't have A11.
I will do that right after the hearing.
Okay. So you're going to move into evidence A10 and A11 along with the others, all right. That's a certificate of occupancy and an application for a certificate of, by the tenant. Okay. So your exhibits are admitted. And there's no public comment. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll motion that Appeal 3226, applicant JGVS LP, property located at 936 County Line Road, be granted relief from Section 280-103B-11 of the code to allow for the reduction of 6 parking spaces in accordance with the testimony and evidence presented.
Second. Any discussion, any board discussion?
I mean, I think the hardship has been demonstrated here, just given that it's a very tight parking area. There's nowhere to expand this. and it's also just necessary for conducting business operations and leasing out this space. So I think it's a reasonable ask.
I have to add that I feel the same way. I mean, this is a building, I don't know what it started out in life, but like a lot of areas around here, certain areas get commercialized, but there isn't really any further place to go in terms of creating needs like, parking places. Okay? The building was probably built in the horse and buggy era, so nobody was thinking about that. And it's not something it's something that really is pretty commonplace. I mean, we have houses built without driveways, for example, because for the last 75 years or so, people didn't need them. Things are changing.
What's a driveway?
Actually, they really have changed. So I would be in favor of this.
Yeah, for the same reason stated, I would also be in favor. It seems like the 9 parking spaces still allows for plenty of extra room.
All right, let me call the vote.
I'm in favor. Aye.
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 So your application is approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Should I give these to Kevin, these copies?
You can hand them up to the chairman, he'll put them in the file, and then just, as I mentioned earlier, send me an email copy as well, please.
Okay, let the record show that exhibits A10 and A11 have been handed up, and they'll be part of the record, which we'll put into the file here. Good luck to you. That concludes our business for this
Have a good night.
today.